Hello again, this is Dr. Jimmy. This is part 9 in my series of videos on the history of the event Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights 25, that wonderful 25th anniversary celebration we had back in 2015. And it's still Saturday, the 12th of August. I'm still wearing the American Werewolf t-shirt. Lenny the cat is still sleeping on the little daybed next to me, sleeping very soundly, so she probably won't make any appearances. So, here we are. I can continue with the haunted house Run, Blood, Sweat and Fears, which had been featured in the Disaster Overflow queue area. The last house ever in that wonderful area that had had so many haunted houses over the years at Horror Nights in Orlando. And yes, I had talked about the whole backstory that was featured in the video, explaining how all this came to be in the alternate timeline and the nuclear war between America and Russia, and how they had changed into the corporate states of America and the radioactive Soviet wasteland. And because it's corporate, here's a corporate product placement. Why Coke Zero? Because it may be one of the last Coke Zeros I ever drink. You know, those of you who know about that, they're replacing it with something which will taste almost exactly the same, but it'll be called Coke Zero Sugar, and not exactly the same formula, but very closely, and in a red can. But I do want to bring it up because Coke Zero has been a sponsor for Halloween Horror Nights for many years now. So, what would be more appropriate? Alright, so what else was in that Q video? Lots of stuff. As I said, there was even subplots about different things that had happened over the years. I couldn't possibly know all of it because I didn't see all of it. But I had mentioned before Bobby Strickland, the grandson of Robert Strickland, the warden of Hellgate Prison. As I had mentioned in part 7, the run competition for Freedom Day in 1987 is held in the old Hellgate Prison. But they also have all sorts of things and people who had been Reapers. Now, the Reapers come from different nations, and the Reapers are sort of paid to kill the runners, yes, but they also can win stuff, I guess, if they kill more runners, and they compete to see how many kills they get, and they're very popular. They're like stars, of course. They're celebrities. The audience loves them, and everyone has their favorite Reapers. And they talk about different Reapers who've appeared before, including those that weren't going to be in tonight's competition, but who did very well in previous years. And so you see all these interesting other Reapers from other countries that aren't actually in the house. There's some like Mexican wrestlers with masks. There's a Jack the Ripper type who's called Dr. Whitechapel. It is my duty to rid the streets of scum and filth. Yes, and quite a lot of them, I understand, were played by people in creative. Even someone's daughter showed up as a little girl. Hello! This cute little girl who's a Reaper, and she's killed many, many runners. She's got a very high kill record, and she's her favorite. And so she goes up there to say hello to Bobby Strickland. Hello! I forget her name. Some cute little adorable kid name. What was it? Death Child or something. No, I can't remember the name, but it had a cute little girl's, you know, with a death title somehow. I'm sure someone out there is going to put it in the comments because I couldn't remember it. Whatever she is, she's a cute little Muppet, like a little Shirley Temple, or a little cute, you know, like one of the Olsen twins when they were little. A little cute little girl popping along her pink dress, but she kills people. She's really good at it, even though she's adorable. And so she comes up and he asks her, Wild Child. That was her name, Wild Child. I got it. So she comes up and Bobby asks her who she'd like to see to be a Reaper, and she says, Disco Bob! Yes, Disco Bob. there's a whole storyline about this mysterious person, Disco Bob. Who the F is Disco Bob? I've been pondering this for 2 years. Who's Disco Bob? Will they ever tell me? Disco Bob apparently had been a runner, and he'd done so well. He'd won and successfully. He became a reaper afterwards, and he became one of the best reapers ever. And then he vanishes. Where did he go? No one knows. Disco Bob's whereabouts are still unknown. Who is Disco Bob? Could it be Bobby Strickland himself, incognito? Is it someone else? I don't know. I don't know. Who's Disco Bob? I want to know who Disco Bob is. I really, really do. I want to know that story. It's one of those mysteries of horror nights that just makes me stay up at night. Yeah. Who was Disco Bob? I know it sounds strange, but I'm obsessed about weird shit. So that was one little thing in there. And then, of course, we also find, there's all sorts of stuff in the Q video, more than I could ever relate. But it just gives a whole majestic world that you could find out about what's the house. And you're actually supposed to be runners when you go in, okay? And it's all done perfectly to make you a part of the storyline. It's really nifty that way. But also, during the course of your stein on the queue, and I got to see this a few times, even though was express, there's always a cast change. And for disaster over for the queue area houses, usually the cast had to walk past the queue to get back into the house, and then the other cast comes out, A and B, because they relieve those people and then they come out. So this procession of reapers go by, and we have like the I forget what they're called, but they're like the guards at the front of the house. They have a name. I don't remember. I'm sorry about that. I'll probably remember eventually. But those guys are there with the helmets. And then you have the different reapers from the different countries. And they're carrying flags. These aren't in the houses. Okay, the house didn't have the flags, but they're carrying the flags as props to show them representing all the countries they come from. So you see there's a flag of Egypt, a flag of Brazil, a flag of Japan, a flag of Canada and Italy, all these different countries, but there's two flags in particular, Germany, of course. Interestingly enough, I'm pretty sure it was just the black, gold and red flag of Germany, because after the nuclear wasteland, I'm pretty sure Germany reunified much earlier in history, because in our timeline it was 1989 when the Berlin Wall came down. But in this timeline it would have been probably in the 80s, no, back in the 60s, and the Berlin Wall would have come down much earlier, and Germany would have been one place. That is, if East Germany hadn't been completely nuked. We don't know. So there's only West Germany left. So there's the German flag. It all comes by. But then, of course, we have two flags that are very different. The flag for the United States and the flag for Russia, because it's not the stars and stripes that we know. Instead of stars, it's like a sort of globe-like device. I think there might have been dollar signs on it for the corporate states of America. That was their banner. But it had red and white stripes, but something other than stars up there. And the flag for the radioactive Soviet wasteland was a red flag like the old hammer and sickle Soviet flag, but it also had a great big atomic symbol symbolizing the fact that it was now so totally nuked. So all of these reapers go by with their flags in an international procession, like, athletes going into the Olympic Games with their flags, and everyone cheers. Yay! All the countries of the world represent. I guess run replaces the Olympics for international competition. Yes, because killing people is the best sport, right? Not gymnastics or horseback racing or whatever, swimming, Michael Phelps, all that. So we have that wonderful procession. It was a delight and a way to make the cast change entertaining. I always love it when they make the cast change entertaining and part of a show, rather than just people walking out and walking back in again. Especially at the sprung tents, when they just go by in hoods. You just see these people in hoods quickly running into the house, and then the other group quickly getting out, so you can't see what they look like underneath. And that's boring. Let's do a show that makes it entertaining. I always like that. So, the house itself. Let's get on into the house. So, you go past some bleachers, and there's no one sitting on them. There should have been at least mannequins of, audience going, eating popcorn, burgers, something. No, just empty bleachers. And you go into Hellgate Prison, going into, and there's the big Run logo above there, the circular logo they had used in the original Run house with the running lights around it. So you go through that, and there's these guys, the enforcers, whatever they're called. I mean, that might be what they're called, enforcers. And they're there with their helmets, and they're like mocking you as you come in. Yeah, they're going to get you. The Reapers are going to eat your ass like candy. Well, that's not exactly what they said, but something, they were saying rude things that, you fat boy, you're going to last real long in there. Yeah, maybe 5 seconds, that kind of stuff. Heckling the guests and getting in their faces. And one picked on me because, Dr. Jimmy is known, and so it's like, hey, you're the guy with the cat. Yeah, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get your cat too. Yeah, I'm going to take your cat. I'm going to cook it for dinner, man. I'm going to bust that cat up. I'm going to cook it for dinner, and I'm going to eat it, man. And I just thought, this guy's crazy. But then I thought about it later, afterwards, I'm talking to Scotty, wait a minute. He said he was going to grab my pussy, wreck my pussy, and eat my pussy. Oh my. Now, later on after the event was over, I found out who that guy was, and I passed that little message along, and he thought that was hysterically funny. I wished I could have thought of that and said it in the house, because it would have caused him to break character and laugh. But it was a lot of fun with that. He was just, I think it might have been named Dominic, that scare actor, but he was just a lot of fun interacting with me, so I had a great time with him. And that's not even into the main house. Now you're going into Hellgate, and you go into, and as I said, if you look carefully, you can see what that was in Hellgate, and then what it was in and how it's been changed to be a room for the International Reapers. I believe the first one were the Brazilian team, who were called the Plague. Apparently there had been some sort of biological weapon released in Brazil, and so they're contaminated, and they've got gas masks and things on. It doesn't really come off very Brazilian, but that's where they're from, the Plague. And so in that particular room is the boiler room of Hellgate Prison, and they've got like the stuff with shooting out this nasty plague gas as you go through the boiler room. I thought it was the laundry room or something. There's lots of steam. It might have been more of a laundry, because there's stuff hanging like clothes, or maybe that's just the clothes, the uniforms. But you go through all of that shit, and I think the next one is it's either Japan or Egypt. I think it's Egypt next. No, it's Japan. Japan's next. That's right. And Japan, the Reapers were a team, a girl named Kira, I think Kira, and a guy whose name is Kimichi or something, Kimichi. And the guy wore like a kabuki mask, like a devil, I think it was, and she's like a geisha and she's got like a fan, but it's also got blades on the fan, and he's got a sword, and there's, shuriken throwing stars on the walls and stuff, and they've got like Japanese lanterns and writing that's glowing on the wall, and so they're there to try to kill you, and there's a neat mirror effect with one of them, so you think he's in front of you, and actually he pops out of the doorway right next to you to get you. I always like that. Also, in between each of the rooms, practically, there's like a ticker tape running telling you the progress of the game, and there are video monitors where Bobby Strickland's talking about stuff. But you don't have time to read or watch any of it, because the damn ops guys are there. Well, move along. It's like, but I understand there's a whole plot line while you're going through the house, and all kinds of, what points different Reapers got for what they did, and apparently there's like one runner who's killed a Reaper or killed it in four, all kinds of stuff that you don't get because you're just being rushed through. I mean, I would have loved to go through the house with no ops and just spend as much time in each room by myself and see and read everything and find out the whole thing and all the videos and watch all the videos all the way through. It would have been marvelous. But there's just the depth of storytelling in this house was unique. I don't think there's ever been a house that had so much detail that you could go back and see more stuff. Every time you went through it, there'd be something new, another piece of the story you could fit together. It was quite amazing. So the next room after Japan are the Egyptian Reapers, the twins, and they're dressed like mummies. I don't know if they were radiated or something and they have bandages to cover up wounds, but they're dressed like mummies. I think they're female, and they're in, I think, the shower room for the prison. I'm not sure what, it's a cell, some kind of a cell block that you went in through for Japan. And then you're in the shower room, and this bathroom stalls and showers, and they're popping out to attack you, and they've got like one victim hung up in the shower and that sort of thing. The Egyptian room. Then after that, I believe, who was next? Was it Canada? I think it was Canada next. Trying to remember all the different nationalities. I hope I don't skip over one because that would be really bad. But I think Canada was next. And Canada, I think, was either in a kitchen or a cafeteria or both. And Canada featured two characters, two Canadian Reapers, a man and a woman, and the name was Chainsaw and Chipper. I think Chainsaw was the man and Chipper was the girl, but I never could be certain which was which. But he's got this great big plaid lumberjack shirt and a beard, and she's got, like, cut off jeans and similar clothing. And the Oh Canada is playing like this heavy metal version. Playing up on that. It's just amazing. And he's got this big, like, buzzsaw to kill people, like a wood chipper. He's putting legs into the wood chipper, and the legs are, and she's got a chainsaw to come after you. So maybe she was Chainsaw, he was Chipper. And blood spurting all over the place. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It was just a fun room. But also in this room, there was a guest activated trigger, and some people said no, there are no, and you shouldn't try to touch props, but there was a chainsaw right at the end of the room, and if you reached over and pushed the button on the chainsaw, suddenly it would go and it would start making noise, and that was always fun too. All right, after that, I believe, was Italy. And in Italy, you had gladiators, like Roman gladiators, with large, well-oiled, muscular chests. Yes, always kind of hot. Mamma mia, there's some spicy meatball. So the Italian gladiator with the gladiator helmets and swords. I don't know for sure what Hellgate prison room that would have been originally, because now it was all like big, may have been a cell block, but you got all these big gladiator type cell walls with spikes coming out of the walls, and that's what you've got. And they're there, and the music playing is the Carmina Burana O Fortuna. You hear that in lots of trailers for action movies. So that was playing in there. It was gladiator music, I guess. And you're in there, and because it's Latin, and there's a victim who's impaled on the spikes, and you walk toward them. Then you have to turn and go around. Now, as you're walking toward them, blood spurts out of the dead body and it splashes on you. It's not actually a dead body. It's a live character, sometimes twitches, but they have a trigger, and they can shoot the blood and hit you. It's actually just water, but it splashes you in the face, so that's delightful. So I always had to wipe my glasses off on my way to the next frickin' country. Just, But one time, as I had mentioned in, I think, the last video, was one of the times I went through earlier in the day, and it was my problem with going into houses during the day. A lot of times disaster houses like Giggles and Gore the year before was fine. I could go through that in the light. It wasn't a problem. But this one, that particular room was very dark, and my eyes hadn't adjusted fully. And I went into that room, and I didn't even realize how far I'd gotten. And I got disoriented, and I almost walked right into where the poor bastard is hanging up with spikes coming out. And it's like, doesn't try to stop me, and I almost walk right into the victim and impale myself on the spikes. But fortunately, the person I was with J.W. Kent, or Scotty as I call him, said, "Dr. Jimmy, where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, sorry, didn't mean to violate your personal space," and went around the corner where I was supposed to go. The next room is Deutschland. Ja! Yes, Germany. And that one was so much fun. So much fun. It was the actual death chamber of Hellgate Prison, which, of course, if you recall from Hellgate Prison in 2004, the method of execution in that prison was the electric chair. The notorious Old Smoky. Yes, a prop that's appeared in many houses over the years. And there was a victim in Old Smoky being electrocuted wearing one of the runner costumes, the spandex outfit, similar to Schwarzenegger's from The Running Man, except blue rather than yellow. And in the room, of course, you had the Blitzkrieg brothers. Yes, the Blitzkrieg brothers, and the big burly men, sometimes in black vinyl with a big lightning bolt. And Andrew Davis, whom I mentioned in the previous video, do check his video out after you're done hearing my talk about Run, Blood, Sweat and Fears. As I mentioned in the previous video, his video on the Andrew R. Davis YouTube channel is called "Why Was Run the Superior House at HHN Number," that's hashtag number symbol, 25, and then in parentheses, House Explained. Because he does, he knows a lot more about it, having been a part of the house. So once again, shout out to that video. Go see that. But he was one of the Blitzkrieg brothers, wearing a black vinyl apron with the lightning bolt symbol on it, and I think maybe a tank top underneath, is exposing his shoulders and arms. Big burly guy. There was one really muscular guy with tattoos and stuff, was another Blitzkrieg brother, and some others. It's they have a couple of them in there, and there's two different casts. So they're in there, and they've got electrical sparking things so that they can run them along and sparks fly out, and electrocuting people. It's all quite wonderful. And because Andrew knew me, he would greet me and stuff. "Ha, Herr Doktor!" And I would respond in German. I would say, "Ah, wie geht's, mein Freund?" And we would talk, things in German to each other. It was all lots of fun. So I love that scene. It was just delightful. Then it's the good old USA, or is it the good old CSA, the Corporate States of America. And this took place in Death Row. And the Death Row cells were occupied by two nice girl reapers from the America, all American girls, Candy and Peppermint. Yes, the Candy Girls. And then you hear music, I think Candy Girl might have been one of the songs. I know Sugar, the Archies. "Sugar, oh honey, honey." It was one of the songs in there. Candyman, Sammy Davis Jr., "Who Can Take Tomorrow?" All of that from Willy Wonka. So they have that kind of candy music playing, pop music in that scene. And there's cell blocks filled with, just tons of decadent candy. On the other side, there might be some victims. And as you go through there, then you get the girls themselves. Peppermint, I think, had a chainsaw, and she had a mask, kind of creepy. And Candy had like red and white stripes, and she had little pigtails, and she had a little bone saw like they do to cut open your skull when you're being autopsied, brain surgery, that kind of stuff. And she comes after you, and in one of the casts, she's played by my friend April. And she's, I think that was her first year as a scare actor. Previous years, I do Legendary Truth, Horror on Earth with her. We were both Bacanoids. She was the Bacanoid leader. April Sky, which I don't think is actually her real name, but that's April would always pay particular attention to me because, of course, she knows me. So I always got the damn bone saw right in my chest like I'm being carved open. I was killed by her on many occasions. Always good fun to have a little personal thing and get murdered by one of the scare actors. And it always startles guests behind you who don't realize, that they could actually murder you, which of course they don't do to just anybody because they don't want to get in trouble touching a guest. But when it's a friend, then they can do a little extra fun. So those were our Candy Girls. quite nice, representing the stars and stripes, or the corporate symbol and stripes that has replaced that. Who can take tomorrow, dip it in a dream? Yes. Wipe away the sorrow and collect up all the cream, yes. So let's go on to the next room, which was actually the exit. And this is where the Soviet... oh, you also found out, as you go through, that the two girls from America, Candy and Peppermint, had killed 14 victims, 14 confirmed kills, and they actually then beat all the other Reapers. So they won Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears. The girls won. Just to let you know. America won. America! Yeah! And so next room, as you exited, and there's like chain link fences as you go out into the exit, and from behind them come these half-naked lunatic maniacs with chainsaws and scars all over their body and a little bit of mutation, wild savages, black leather trousers, that sort of thing, kind of kinky, maybe a little sexy actually. And they're the representatives, the Reapers from the radioactive Soviet wasteland. If they had a particular name, I didn't hear what it was, just the Russian guys with chainsaws. On one occasion Eddie joined them, but I never saw that one because I didn't go that night. Damn it! The night Eddie was in the house. But they're there with their chainsaws to chase you out. So that was Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears. And again, some people put it on a list with what they think are the worst houses ever. Of course, a lot of those people, some of them have been going for the past couple of years, and they don't remember really bad houses from years back, like Fear Factor and Blood Ruins, and Cold Blind Terror, Disorientorium. The ones I put on my worst list. You know, the People Under the Stairs reboot in 2006. Original People Under the Stairs rocked! Oh my god. I saw a little video of some action from that, and it just like took me back to 1992, and Jesus Christ, what they did in that house. Blood flashing everywhere, shooting shotguns into the ceiling. Oh my god, it was, and the sets were the same ones from the movie. The same damn sets were flown in from Hollywood and built. I mean, some of the best sets. It was just wonderful, wonderful thing they did back in 1992. And the thing they did in 2006 was weak comparison, just weak. But some people find Run to be a not good house. Again, it could be personal taste. Maybe they didn't have a good through. Maybe they didn't understand what was going on. Maybe they didn't understand the humor of it. They didn't get what the house was really about. They didn't stop to look and see all the stuff that was there and what it all meant. Maybe that because if they're younger people, they didn't live through the 1980s. For someone like me, I was, you know, in my 20s, my teens and 20s in the 1980s. So the music of that era, as I graduated from high school in 1981 and went to college in the 80s, that's like the music that will always be with me. And so I have a nostalgic love for movies and film from that time because of my own age than I would otherwise. Because that's like, oh, that's the stuff I saw when I was in college, you know, and go out, you know, at college parties and get drunk and go see a movie like The Running Man. That's the sort of thing that was from my time. So yeah, you just get a nostalgic thrill more than someone who's 20 now, and that's like something old from prehistoric times. It's boring. You know, so that might be part of it as well. But let's see. So it's cocktail time again. Now, this one, Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears, is part of the reason why I do my cocktails at home starting last year, rather than doing them at the park like I did for the last time in 2015. Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears, I had thought, let's do something different. We have all these international Reapers. So, instead of one cocktail, let's have a drink for each one of the international reapers. And by the end of the night, I'll be fucked out of my mind. If I could still walk. But could I find something from each of those countries at Finnegan's? No. So I said, what am I going to do? I know. I'll stop at City Walk. I'll go a little early. Stop at, I have to get this call. So I'll pick this up next time.